Hi, I am Angel Riba with Mindalia TV from the Conscious Life Expo. And we are blessed today of having with us Elana Freeland. Hi Elana, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Please, thank you very much for being here. So just to start very quickly onto our subject matter today. So what is a chemtrail?
A chemtrail is what people often think of as a contrail, but a contrail is a condensation trail with water vapor only at very high altitude and with ice crystals. What we're seeing as long streams of white matter in the skies now is really chemtrails, and those are just chemical trails. And it's those chemicals that are filled with nanoparticles that are the most dangerous for our health.
And how can we differentiate like what is like an airplane trail compared to or with differentiate them from the chemtrails? How can we know the difference?
A contrail lasts at the most 30 seconds and will completely dissipate, but the chemical trail will spread out over the sky behind the jet, and then it will slowly dissipate into a white haze that will cover our skies. It'll either end up as a cirrus cloud cover, or it will actually be sort of murky white that will take the blue out of our skies.
Are there any clouds that might have shapes similar to the chemtrails?
When you say shapes, what do you mean?
I'm trying to, help our audience to differentiate between what can be like a normal cloud with a particular shape. I'm not an expert on clouds, but reality is that we hear about chemtrails, but we want to make sure that we can help them to differentiate and to identify them.
Well, I can honestly say that over all NATO countries, there are no natural clouds anymore. Now, even if it's a big, puffy cumulus cloud with some darkness in it that looks like it's going to rain, the way we used to have a long time ago, even that will have chemicals in it and will have been chemically engineered in order to be there with the moisture that may or may not be allowed to drop onto the earth underneath.
Elana is a brilliant investigative reporter. So obviously every statement that she's making is because she's been researching it for a long time. When did you start doing this?
I started in probably 2007, and I was living in northern New Mexico at that time. I became friends with a very famous here in the United States independent scientist named Clifford Carnicom. And Clifford was one of the first people, certainly one of the first scientists, collecting precipitation from the sky in northern New Mexico after he would see these jets passing with long trails behind them. He also had on his window in his house a HEPA filter, and out of that filter he would collect various detritus, and he would take it and analyze it under his microscope. He discovered that many things are being dropped on us besides the chemicals from the jet engines.
Okay, so what are those chemicals? What do they do to us?
The chemicals are all fuel of commercial and military jets, and I would guess within the entire NATO countries and possibly world, they are all treated with chemicals so that they burn fuel more economically. But some of those chemicals may be very detrimental to our health. We know that there are conductive nanoparticles, and when I say nanoparticles, I'm talking about sub-micron level, very, very, very tiny. You cannot see them with the naked eye. And these nanoparticles, the size of them is dangerous in itself. We have nanoparticles in foods, clothing, makeup, hair products, many things. And Americans have never been told about it. It's true that the Congress never saw it, never passed a bill saying that they were safe for health. Everything is moving at such a rapid pace And those nanoparticles that are in the jet trails are made out of aluminum, barium, strontium, lithium, titanium, all conductive metals that are good for military operations but bad for our health.
And what do they do? Do you know specific cases of diseases or that are detrimental that you could describe?
It is. I'm trying to think of one of the studies that was done on the aluminum, because the aluminum is the one that we're particularly looking at. We, the citizens, I mean. I'm sure our government knows all about the aluminum particles, but we, the citizens, know nothing. Aluminum is the most used nanoparticle in these operations because it's cheap. It has 4 times the surface area of most of the other metals that are conductive, and it's very useful for military operations of radar, anything electromagnetic. And so we have discovered that aluminum is very high in 2 classes of people who are suffering. The children who are suffering from autism, and the adults suffering from Alzheimer's disease. And it makes sense that the aluminum would be affecting our nervous system because it is in nature in small quantities, but in this kind of quantity that we're getting, and we're talking tons of it per year that are being dumped, not just by the jets, but by the rockets that are launched over and over again. Those too are laying aluminum over our entire land, and when they come down to our lower altitudes, we can't help but breathe them. And they go into our they go into our lungs, then they go into our bloodstream, and then they rise up into and pass the blood-brain barrier. This is how it would lead to Alzheimer's and autism. And I don't know about in Europe, but in America, the autism rates are just skyrocketing beyond belief now.
And why would you say that this is happening? Why would you say that we're being,
Yes, I'm the only writer I know of who's going deeply into the military aspects of this technology. I think it's very important. I want the military questions brought into the dialogue about this geoengineering program. This geoengineering program that some are claiming is just beginning now has been going on for 2 decades minimum. And it's been secret, it's been under the National Security Act of the United States, and it's time that the citizens realized that military operations need this program in order to do all their wireless projects.
Okay, what do you think is the latest intention of the government to do that?
I have my ideas, and from everything I've studied, it appears to me that to have people breathe in nanoparticles, very, very tiny, where you don't know that they're there, and if you go to a doctor, he or she is not going to know what the problem is because they too are ignorant. And if they put it under one of their microscopes, say they have a 300 power microscope in their laboratory, it won't be able to see the nanoparticles. This is an ingenious way to implant us with particles that can be used for various purposes that I feel are heading toward changing the human being into more of a machine-controlled entity. That's what I think. They call it transhumanism. They call it singularity. Whatever they call it, it's inhumane, and I want it brought into the debate about geoengineering.
And has anybody tried to raise their hands and say, hey, this is going on, those are the proofs, we have proven that, those are the blood tests? Has anybody tried that to bring the attention to the government?
Yes, and some people have been killed for doing that, and others have had the news buried so that people never hear about them talking about it. Many PhDs, scientists working for the military, or at least working for programs that are being paid for by military money, have been made to sign non-disclosure agreements. Their careers might be in jeopardy. Their families might be in jeopardy. As I said, in America, when it's a national security program, no one is going to hear anything about it from the scientists who are even involved in the program. Part of that is not just the non-disclosure agreements. Part of it is the compartmentalization and the need to know security clearances that all scientists working on government projects have to obey. And so we, the citizens, are in a confusing situation where our media has been completely controlled, in my opinion, by our CIA since the 1970s. We have had no free press in the mainstream media since the 1970s. They lie to us, they deceive us, they take us in directions, they divert us from real issues, and I'm really sick of it. And so I've spent all these years pursuing this so that at least the public can learn about what is going on and they can take measures to take care of their health, their children's health, their grandchildren's health.
Speaking of measures, what can we do?
Many of us are pursuing this and experimenting on ourselves as if we are a little laboratory, a chemical laboratory of our own. And we have several people who are doing this full time for absolutely no compensation whatsoever, other than putting a YouTube up on Facebook or the internet to share their findings with other people, who some of whom are suffering greatly. I don't know if you've heard in Europe of the term Morgellons.
Morgellons, no.
See, this is what I mean about we have this global press, but no one is hearing about whatever somebody doesn't want them hearing about.
Okay.
So the Morgellons is one of the biological pathogens that is also being loaded into the fuel and dropped on people to breathe in. And the Morgellons is a genetically engineered biological entity that is half machine and half natural. And these Morgellons get into our bloodstream, they eat the erythrocytes, they eat the iron out of our red blood cells. And we need to really realize that we are not their test tubes, we should be our own test tubes. So that's why we're struggling to find a way to, first of all, get the nanoparticles of heavy metals out of our system. And that we're doing with, one of the things we're doing, there are many things. One of the things we're doing is taking baths with 1 cup of Epsom salt, 1 cup of sea salt, and 1 cup of borax or boron. And to take a bath with that will cause an electrical reaction on the skin that will go below the skin and draw out the heavy metals. Sometimes if you take the bath and have like a nice candle light to relax, and then take a flashlight and turn it on the top of the water, you will see a lot of detritus that has gathered there, and many of them, you could put them under a microscope and you will find that they are metal.
Wow.
It's real. It's real. And in a way, I feel mixed feelings about telling people about it, because once I tell you, you can't pretend that you don't know anymore. And now you go and look, and now you have to face all the things that everyone else is facing. The fear, the outrage that your government could do this to you without your knowledge, and how you have to find remedies on your own. I really feel the age of waiting for the experts to tell you what to do, to tell you the truth, so that you can take care of yourself and your children. I think it's over. There's so much lying and deceit going on for whatever reason that it's really time that we took this in charge ourselves.
Besides chemtrails, is there any other form of geoengineering?
Geoengineering begins with the chemtrails because the atmosphere has to remain ionized. The atmosphere has to remain like an antenna, like a battery. It has to be electrified. And I think people who go through very high heat in the summer, and it's very unusual, when they feel that heat, they often will say, I feel like I'm in a microwave oven. And really they are, because the atmosphere is totally charged and totally filled with tiny, tiny conductive pieces of metal. So if we take that as a possibility, then we really need to look at all of our practices in life and bring ourselves to a point where we really value our immune system. And the immune system is what I remind everyone of. It's an amazing thing. And when you don't have a well-working immune system, you are prone to autoimmune diseases. And those diseases are not really diseases, they're really symptoms of a condition that is being exacerbated by the Chemtrails program. They use it for weather engineering, they use it for space programs wherein they're looking at plasma, the fourth state of matter. They use it for directed energy weapons. Directed energy weapons will not work in a vacuum. They must have a lot of particulate matter in order to work. There are many reasons that they will keep the atmosphere filled with metals and ionized so that they can continue their military operations.
Wow. To end the interview, I mean, I'm really impressed by the level of your knowledge, Elana. So thank you for sharing. We could really go on and on and on with questions and listening to your answers. But I would like to finish this conversation with, we have millions of viewers every month all over the world. So would you mind giving them a piece of advice? If you were them anywhere in the world where they are today, what would you like to share?
Please don't believe everything you hear the first time, even me. Really look at your lifestyle. Are you doing things that are bad for your immune system? Maybe it's very pleasurable. Maybe it's an indulgence. I'm not here to examine your conscience, but I am here to tell you that without a strong immune system, you will not be able to survive through this era that is being foisted upon us by powers that do not respond to democratic government. And I say that as an American. I am unable to see that my government will listen to us. And so we are all taking our own paths now. So your immune system, talk to each other, do your own research, dialogue with other people doing similar research, and learn as much as you can. If you read English, read my books. If you know any translators who would translate them into Spanish or whatever your language is, please do so. They're the only books about this. I can't believe it. There should be many people writing about this, but I have taken the time to do it, and I will be writing a book on synthetic biology that I hope you will be able to find. But your immune system is everything.
Excellent. Elana Freeland, wow, what an inspirational conversation with you today. Thank you very much for being with us today. Again, this is Angel Riba with Mindalia TV from the Conscious Life Expo. Thank you very much for being with us today.